Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jack and Joe show. And I'm here with Mystic Meg after the most sensational prediction I've ever seen last week. Jack Kelly, how are you doing?
I've never been more excited to film a Jack and Joe show. We beat United, and I knew it. I just knew it was going to happen.
And hilariously, neither of us were there. Maybe less hilariously for me with my recent antics. But at the same time, we were both just wishing when that goal went in, how amazing it would have been to be there. If you went, the videos look fantastic. I hope it was just the best day. Before we go into a lot of detail about this great game, a word from our sponsors, Green King Sport, who are sponsoring Fulhamish for the entire season, where football is more than a game. And once again, we're encouraging you to go to a Green King Sport pub, enjoy the football, enjoy some of the great fixtures that are on. We've got a live game that's just been confirmed at the time of filming for early April, which is another one to add to the list and get locked in just after Easter weekend, which is the Forest away game. But we're very grateful to the sponsorship. And Jack, there's some great fixtures this weekend as well.
Yeah, no, there's some really good. I always makes me laugh. We always call it the Green King Sport Pub, but it's just a Green King pub.
It's just a Green King pub.
It's Green King Sport.
That shows sport.
Yeah. No early game again this week, although Brentford play Chelsea, which will be interesting. And of course, Fulham play Brighton. We'll preview that much later in the program. The 5:30 is at Kenilworth Road, Luton Town hosting Aston Villa. Very interesting. Yeah, huge game. Looking forward to that, actually, if I manage to catch it. And then on Sunday, it's Burnley hosting Bournemouth. It's last chance saloon for Vincent Kompany's Burnley, honestly. I saw them on Saturday against Palace, and I have to say, Joe, they were one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen. And 3:30 on Sunday, the Manchester Derby, Manchester City hosting Manchester United. And then the Monday Night Football again, Sheffield United hosting Arsenal. Again, last chance saloon for Sheffield United. It does feel like those two are down, but let's not focus on that for now. Let's focus on Fulham winning at Old Trafford. Iwobi, Bassi, Maguire. Should he be sent off? Let's get into it. Joe, you watched it on a stream. I was at Palace Burnley, frantically trying to get some sort of connection. I listened to about 70% of the game on Radio 5 Live. Brilliant. Ian Dennis was fantastic at commentary, and Michael Brown, former Fulham player as well. So it was some good Fulham insight as well. And Matthew was there, my brother. He said it was incredible. I was Labyrinth song jealous that I was not there. However, Joe, talk me through watching it on the live stream, your emotions in those final, was it 9 added minutes? I don't know what it was in the end.
Yeah, it was 9, but it ended up being about 10, 11 because of the celebrations after we scored. Let's start from the beginning. We kick off and we are all over them like a very, very dodgy need to go to the GP rash because we were everywhere on the pitch. I mean, the Old Trafford pitch is absolutely huge.
It's massive.
And I think that the way that we play sometimes when we are on the counter-attack, which is not our style of play, but I think we've always said, Jack, it's the football that I most enjoy when we're attacking on the break at speed. I think the way that our team works, it really works to our strengths. And we had so many opportunities in that first half. There was some great analysis on the Monday Night Football last night at the time of filming from Jamie Carragher and Gail Clichy, where they were speaking about how United essentially have a high press and a low block. What that essentially means, dumbed down to the most simple version, is their attackers are way too high, but their defenders are way too low, which means there's just a massive space in the middle, which we exploited
that so well,
time and time again. And, you know, if we could finish better, and this is not going to be a video where I'm negative, but we should have, 2-1 flatters United.
Definitely.
The amount of countless opportunities we had and didn't take. We just have to firstly speak about our midfield, Jack, because the team news comes out and it's almost what we expected in terms of fill the Pelini gap with both Lukic and Reed. And then Pereira just in front because Willian wasn't back, which meant that Iwobi was on the wing. Completely fair.
Fine.
All three of them were absolutely excellent. And I think we need to give a special shout out now, Jack, to Sasha Lukic, who had by a country mile his best game in a Fulham shirt. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal, both defensively and going forward. And he really set the tone early doors. There was a fantastic tackle within the first 2 minutes of the game that he made. But then his breaking at speed. I mean, this is the player that we thought we were getting from Torino, Jack.
Yeah, no, it was like it didn't I kept listening on the radio, and it kept saying, "Oh, Sasha Lukic breaking forward." I was thinking, "What's he doing? What? Like he's getting so much of the ball," and it was brilliant to see. Brilliant to hear, brilliant to see. I watched the game back, and Lukic just had a new lease of life, and it's great because we knew Paulinho would be out, so this would have been drilled into him from essentially Monday morning before the game. This is how we exploit Manchester United, and you are going to be, at the heart of our midfield, trying to break through, break the lines, and find, find Iwobi, find the attacking players. And Lukic just had the perfect game and was on the end of a terrible tackle from Maguire. Whether it's a red card or not, I suppose it just doesn't matter anymore. And he still soldiered on and played on, and he played a blinder. And it gives me so much comfort now that even without Paulinho, and whatever happens in the future with Paulinho, we can cope and some get results. Also, Harrison Reed just had one of those really good games again. He drifts wide, he creates chances, he brings that bite in midfield, and the tenacity of that Fulham midfield. It was like we sort of were really suffocating Manchester United at times in that game. And we had chance after chance after chance. Money Muniz on the turn, off the post, Pereira curling shot, Lukic almost bundled one in as well. I mean, it was really extraordinary. And it has to, you can look back and go, oh, but do you remember when we beat Liverpool 1-0 in lockdown? That was a completely different performance. This was taking a game to Manchester United, not sort of playing on the counter-attack. I suppose against Liverpool, we scored and then sort of played on the break, but we were under the cosh for most of the game. But apart from added time and when they scored, we were on top of Man United. Special shout out to Lukic, like you say. Iwobi obviously had missed a couple of good chances in the first half, but scored the winning goal and had an all-round sensational game. Bassi, great game. Robinson, good game. Muniz, Pereira even. And the fact that Pereira's given this free role.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Pereira's performance and how that sort of helped our midfield.
Well, yeah, I mean, 5 chances created, nearly scored himself. It was a great save from Onana in the first half. It was the only place he could really put it with a chance of scoring, and he did it, and it was just a good save. This is what I expect to see from Pereira. And, obviously his set piece, the corner led to the first goal from Bassi, but his all-round play was just so dangerous. And this is what we've missed from him this season. I feel like in open play, he hasn't really offered that, aside from that week when we played Forest and West Ham at home. This was almost that sort of performance again when he was the one orchestrating everything. And I loved it. And, I was calling for him to get dropped for Iwobi. He shut me up.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, good.
What I love about this, Jack, is that, like you said, we took the game to United. United have been crap by their standards for years, and we've never, ever taken advantage. We outplayed them, and I said this when we spoke earlier in the season, and the clip that's going around of you, that we outplayed them 3 times last season, for the most part, and we lost all 3. And then we outplayed them this season, and we lost again. So that's 4 games in a row where we'd outplayed them and come away with nothing. It's just so disheartening. And I love that this time, in what I think was our best performance of the 5, we got what we deserved. And credit to Marco Silva, by the way, for making 6 changes. Obviously, 2 of them were enforced. But it's all well and good me and you coming on here and saying, I want to change the centre-back pairing. I want to change 2 of the front 3. I want to change 3 of the midfielders. But he did it, and it worked. And I can't help but think, and I don't want to dampen the mood, I can't help but think what could have been against Liverpool with Iwobi and Bassi, because they make such a difference to our team, and I'm delighted they're back. And if Tosin could sign the deal, what centre-back partnership we've got for years to come. But Jack, let's talk about, we go in at half-time. I almost want to move past the red card because, like you say, I think
the
most
non-red card.
We're of the opinion that, I think we're in agreement that it should have been a red.
Yeah.
I think that it was very, very lucky for Maguire. But we go in at half-time. We've sort of had that injustice in our minds. We've had so many chances. And my thinking is United are going to come out here and they're going to punish us for this. And it's going to be one of those days again. What actually happened was, up until what I think was around the 70th minute, United hadn't had a single effort on goal in the second half. And we'd gone 1-0 up. So, Jack, talk to me about that first goal from Bassi.
Well, it's reminiscent of a certain goal from a certain Serbian striker at the
Yeah,
back post in the FA Cup, because it was from that same side in which Pereira took the corner. But Bassi sort of has two strikes. Obviously, he has one blocked, and it's Castagna who almost sort of swivels on the turn and gets a shot away. But actually, Bassi's like, no, 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 leave it. I've got this.
yeah,
And he just wallops it in. Like, it's a really good finish because, you know, that could easily just sail over the bar, but it was right in the top of the net, like really out of reach for Onana, and with such velocity and power
yeah,
behind the shot. Um, Loved it. Loved the fact that it was his first goal for the club, apart from the goal against Hoffenheim in friendly. Um, Really good to, one, score from a set piece, and two, finally get our just rewards for what has been
yeah,
a magnificent performance so far. And obviously at 1-0, you go 1-0 up at a top six team. The dynamic changes a little bit. You do invite pressure, and you do sort of try and stick to what you've got and try and play on the counter attack. And it's sort of what happened. Sort of. Give me your reaction to, because you obviously watching on a stream. I was listening on the radio and watching CPFC as well, so it was really difficult to sort of navigate the whole afternoon, really. But from you watching it, you must have been like, deserved.
Oh, 100%. It was more of a relief when we scored than anything else,
Yes.
because I was like, this has been coming. The fact that we haven't scored is ridiculous. So we just deserved it so much. And I had that dangerous reaction again, Jack, where I'm now thinking, why did I do that? Where I thought, I don't think we'll lose this now, was my
Right.
first thought.
The worst we
I
don't
was
draw.
thinking, yeah, it was,
Such a
words
dangerous
that
mindset.
precede unfortunate events, etc. But it was just like, I couldn't see United scoring twice based on the fact that they hadn't even gone forward. We obviously naturally invite a bit of pressure on ourselves. Reed had to go off. A few things combined that just meant that they had more chances, which is going to happen.
Sorry, did Reed have to go off because of a knock-on effect from the Casemiro?
I believe so. That's what it seemed like.
Okay.
It was about 10, 15 minutes afterwards, but he hadn't quite got up to full speed again. And we just had a bit of a rejig in midfield where Traore first came on, then Kearney came on, and Iwobi came centrally. It was just a little bit of a rejig all around the pitch. Then when Diop came on, we dropped even deeper. And I understand why Silva did it, because at Anfield, I don't think we made a defensive move quickly enough after we'd scored. We almost waited until they got the equaliser. Tosin wasn't warmed up, and then they got the winner, So it was almost like trying to preempt that. United had started crossing the ball in for the first time since the, midway through the end of the first half. It was a crazy momentum swing. And then the goal happens, and I'm not going to give any stick to Leno, but he should have done better. He should. That's the truth. I also think Bassi, for that particular moment, also could have done better in holding the line. It's one of those things. Maguire shouldn't have been on the pitch, and it felt like this is the worst case scenario of what could have happened. Bruno Fernandes, the rat, setting up a goal for Maguire to tap in.
Also, Castagna, in that instance, you watch the replay and he's up against Bruno and he sort of looks to one side to sort of see where an overlapping man is. And in that split second, he sort of loses track of what's going on in front of him, and that's when Bruno cuts in and shoots. I'm not saying it's Castagna's fault. I just noticed that in the replay, watching it back.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was very disheartening. By that point, I'd lost all connection. No 5G, no Wi-Fi. And then I got a tweet notification. Maguire scores from Fulham. And I was like, you couldn't make it up, because
no.
If this had finished 1-1, there would be riots outside Stockley Park from the Fulham fans. I mean, really, the fact that Gilmour as well got sent off for a very similar challenge as well is well, I mean, it doesn't matter. There's no point dwelling on it now. However, Joe, talk to me about this, because even on the highlights reel, they didn't even on Match of the Day. It was only when I watched the extended highlights. I watched the full 90 back from when Maguire scored to the end of the game. And there was so many chances. United had like 2 or 3 chances. Wilson put a shot wide. Muniz had a header wide. Yeah. I mean, or maybe Wilson's was before.
Wilson's was at 1-0, but yeah.
Excuse me. And then, we've got a throw in our own half, like in our own final third, in United's final third. And we're sort of just trying to run down the clock. We're under a bit of pressure. But suddenly, and this is great, Muniz comes short, gets Maguire away and up the field, detracts him from his position. He sort of holds the ball up. It falls to Traore, and he just gallops away, and Maguire's already out of position, and there's no catching him, obviously. And, we talk about composure when it comes to Traore and how he has a lack of it.
Yeah.
Boy, did he have composure here. Because he could have drove to the line. He could have held it in the corner, but he got his head up and there was plenty of space. And it's not an easy pass either, because Iwobi's all the way on the other side of the box. And he picks him out. Iwobi, great first touch, takes it away from the defender. And how about the finish? Not curled, just driven low. Onana, could not move really towards it. He sort of just watched it go in. I want to know what went through your mind and what did you do when that went in the net? And by the way, great counter-attack when we didn't even need a counter-attack from Fulham.
No, the noises I made were dehumanizing. One of my favorite ever Fulham goals.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Jack, that Muniz chance a couple of, maybe a minute or so earlier was a really good chance. And, it's just unfortunate. It was quite low. So when he stooped to get it, he couldn't quite steer it on target. It went wide. I thought that was the chance. I thought, okay, we rode the pressure. We had a breakaway. Now let's just see it out. And so when, Diop and Castagne were passing it between them and then lumped it up to where Muniz was with Maguire, the last thing I was expecting was a Fulham break. But once Traore got the ball, suddenly you thought, oh my goodness, look at the pitch open up. Yeah. He's got Muniz darting across him, going to the right-hand side. He's got Iwobi on the left. He's got Kearney just behind him, who did very well to keep up with the play. Everyone bombing on. And you almost thought, no, this is the chance. And I just couldn't believe it when it went in. It was just one of my favourite moments following the club, honestly. It was just fantastic. And it was the poetic justice of the amount of late goals they've scored against us that have been undeserved. For us to do it even later and for it to be completely and utterly deserved made it even sweeter. That is better than a smash and grab, because that was a deserved winning goal in a fantastic performance and in the best way possible by rocketing past the player that shouldn't have been on the pitch and sending the away fans into raptures. The way that you start seeing the fans leave all around the ground is just music to my eyes. I know that's not
music to your eyes.
Music to my eyes. I can see the notes in front of me, Jack, and they're just going, yes. It's just fantastic. And I think one thing I'll say now is I was listening to the podcast, and one thing that Dan Kirk pointed out, which was, two things, I suppose. First, from Dan, he said he didn't notice the lack of Palhinha, which I agree with watching it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like we were missing not just him, Willian, our two most important players were not involved. And Jack Stroudley, our friend who obviously covers for me when I can't make it, he made a great point that we played now without Palhinha in the squad in the league 5 times this season. Sorry, correct, 4 times.
4 times.
And we've won 3 out of 4 games. And those were Everton away. The loss was against City, Everton away, and then Wolves at home. So we've won 3 out of 4 games when Palhinha hasn't been in the squad at all, because obviously he came on against Brentford, which means that one doesn't count. It's wonderful because how much we collapsed last season when we didn't have Palhinha with the exact same midfield options. It shows how adaptable Silva is. And once again, I think Silva has had the beating of Ten Hag tactically 5 times out of 5.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
Yeah, I do believe that.
And thank goodness that he got the reward that he deserved.
I was going to say, one of the best, maybe the best before this performance I've ever seen under Silva from a Fulham team was the quarter-final against Man United until it all collapsed. That 70 minutes was as good as I've ever seen from Fulham. But this, for me, is the best. It is the best Silva performance I've seen, for his time at the club. Away from home, United were on form and they were without Højlund, and that's fine. But they've still got very good players, and that's not our fault they didn't perform very well. I suppose it is, because that's the way we sort of implemented our tactics on them. But I was in the press box and I was sort of numb to the fact that it was going to be a 1-1 draw. And I got this tweet notification from Fulham where they had all those letters, and I was like, I know what that means. We've scored. And obviously, my first thought was, well, imagine tweeting that and then it all getting VAR'd.
Oh,
I was just scrambling. Listen, and I managed to get a connection on the radio, and it sounded like the goal was legit. And I was like, I had to take myself out the press box to calm myself down. This Palace game was dwindling into a 3-0 win for Palace. There was another 5 minutes of added time to go out of the 12 that was given. I just was like, I'm going to leave, and otherwise my head's going to explode. And it was brilliant. It was a great day. Wish I was there, but you can't win them all. Fulham winning at Manchester United, deservedly so, and yeah, about time. I even yesterday went up to had a nice conversation with Gary Neville of all people, and I just went up to him and I said, "I'm a Fulham fan. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the game on Saturday." And he said that Fulham should have scored more, and that we were the better team, and United were pretty hopeless. And I'm actually going to, after this, go and watch that analysis that Jamie Carragher did on Monday Night Football. It was just an amazing day. I'm so pleased that Matthew got to see it as well, and I'm pleased for everyone who went up and supported Fulham. And God, it makes you want to book every single away day for the rest of the season now. And just a quick question before we go on to Brighton. I know we're short for time, but it's justice for this sort of game. Everyone was saying this season's never going to reach the heights of last season. I actually think we're starting to get on par with last season, if not surpassing some. I mean, the 5-0 back-to-back, the win against Arsenal, the Carabao Cup semi-final,
yeah,
and then of course Saturday. This is as good as it gets, as good as last season, perhaps, Joe.
Yeah,
There's still plenty of time to go as well.
We seem to have had a mental block against the top 6 sides for some time, and now in our last 4 results against them, we beat Arsenal. We obviously lost the first leg against Liverpool, drew the second leg, and we beat Manchester United, unless I'm forgetting someone obvious in between. So that's 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. And, I know those are only a couple of results, but we've also, drew at Arsenal. We beat Tottenham on penalties in the Carabao Cup. We took Liverpool all the way. One of my first thoughts, actually, I was saying to my dad was, about time we beat United, but why can this never happen against Chelsea away? It's like, why can't we have put in that performance? Because honestly, I think if we played like that against Chelsea, it would be a cricket score. It'd be fantastic. And what's also nice is it took everyone's mind off the cup final that happened this weekend, because obviously we're all wishing we could be there, but we had a fantastic moment that we'll remember forever instead. Yeah,
exactly.
Don't get me wrong. Would I rather be in a cup final? Yeah, but at the same time, if we'd have lost that cup final, I'd 100% rather take that United.
Win.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's amazing. And Jack, I suppose we've got another tough game this weekend, which we'll come on to now. But we've been handed a few boosts before. I mean, we were handed a boost before the United game with no Hoyland. Dare I say, we waited on a miracle to come with the team news. And now we found out that there's no Billy Gilmore because of his red card. There's no Matoma. Ferguson, Veltman, and Welbeck are all doubts, and they already have a few existing injuries as well. What are your thoughts going into this? Because obviously, I feel like all our expectations have changed because of this United game in terms of we want to see that performance again. And the expectation is that if we were to perform like that again, it would result in another 3 points.
Of course, it's difficult because we play against a Brighton team at Craven Cottage. It's a much narrower pitch. It's a much smaller pitch than the one at United. It almost suited us the way we played against United on Saturday. That's not to say we can't replicate the performance or do something similar. But given that we're, I suppose, De Zerbi, I mean, they're a good team and they like to have the ball. And we beat them twice last season. Last week, they were unstuck against an Everton team and they only got a last-minute equaliser through Lewis Dunk. Good header. But Everton were pretty decent and they were frustrating. And, of course, they were down to 10 men, Brighton as well. I'm not sure how this one goes. In their last away performance, they beat Sheffield United 5-0. Sheffield United were down to 10 men after like 9 or 10 minutes. So it's hard to judge this one. They've got some really good players, Brighton. Like Hinshelwood, who's come into the team this season. He's been really impressive. Obviously, they've lost loads of players to Chelsea for big money, and even set you back to Ben White when he went to Arsenal. But Brighton are a good team. They've sort of, I haven't really noticed them as much recently. They've sort of kind of gone under the radar for me. But I think given we're at home and the confidence must be well up for Fulham right now. Like, honestly, I don't know in terms of a team news, but I'm going to go to you for team news. But I think we take the game to Brighton. Like, well, why not? Like, honestly, we could take anyone on these days. Nothing. There's nothing to really. There's no. I don't think we're going to go down. I don't think we're going to go down. Just enjoy the rest of the season and really enjoy sort of taking on these teams. We've got some. We've still got to host Liverpool and Man City. We've still got to host Spurs as well. And we've got some fun away games to come up as well. Just take the game to them. I mean, we'll have loads of fun. Pascal Gross, great player. João Pedro, great player. They've got some really good players. Adingra, he is someone I'm looking forward to seeing. He's a fantastic player. And they've got really good defenders. Lamptey, Estupinian, Lewis Dunk, Adam Webster, and then a good keeper in Verbruggen or Jason Steele. I'm not sure who will play on Saturday.
Be one of them, yeah.
I've sort of just rattled through loads of Brighton players. Give me your team. What changes, if anything? Willian may be back.
That's my only thinking, really. The rest of the team, I don't actually want to change at all. I feel that if Willian is back, Willian has to play. And the reason I say that is I think he's just got that star quality. Those chances that we created at Old Trafford, I feel like Willian would be more inclined to actually tuck some of them away earlier in the game. I wouldn't be able to drop Iwobi, so I'd have to drop Wilson at the expense of him and put Iwobi on the right. That's no disservice to Wilson, who had a good game and was very dangerous throughout. Nearly scored that goal in the second half when he curled it just wide. Very dangerous. But coming off the bench, I'm happy with that. If Willian isn't back, I'd go with the exact same team. I would leave Adama Traore as the impact sub. I think that's where he's best placed. And I think the interesting one, Jack, is obviously we've got no Palhinha back for this one, but when he is back, what the midfield three will look like, because obviously Kearney's also in contention, but you've got Reed, you've got Lukic and Pereira. And if Willian's back, then Iwobi could be a central option as well. It'll be interesting to see, touchwood, hopefully none of them get injured or suspended. If we have a full complement of midfielders, what we'll go with, depending on the opposition. Obviously, that game would be Wolves away, which would be very tough. But yeah, what do you think? Would you change anything?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because all 11 put in an absolute shift, didn't they? And as long as Harrison Reed's feeling all right and he's ready to go again after his knock, then I don't think I'd change it. I mean, give Sasha Lukic the freedom of Craven Cottage to go again and show the home crowd what he can do. I wouldn't change a thing. I think I agree. If Willian's back, I'd bring him in for Wilson. And, I think we've got some good options off the bench. Brozier, Bobby Reed, Tom Kearney. I mean, that's just to name a few. And then a couple of centre-backs as well. And Castagna will play, won't he? So Tete on the bench. So I've just completely lost track of what players that we do and don't have. I don't think I'd change an awful lot. And I think that's a good thing. Come off a win like that, it'd be mad. I suppose we did make 6 changes going into the United game to sort of, some were forced, some were not, to sort of, how can we beat United? And it came off. But then again, do you make 5 or 6 more changes to revert back to when we're playing at home against a Brighton team? I don't think so. I think don't change a winning formula. And against Aston Villa, we really struggled, didn't we, for large spells of that game up until they made it sort of 2-0 and we kicked on from there. So yeah, I would stick with the 11 unless Willian. I agree with you in a long-winded way of saying it.
Yeah, and I guess, like you said, the 6 changes. I mean, 2 of them were enforced in terms of Palhinha and Willian being out. So unless they're both back, which we know one of them 100% isn't because it's suspension, not injury, the maximum I would make is that 1 change because I'm happy with the midfield. I'm happy with the defence. I think that is our strongest back 4 currently. Obviously, you can make a case for Tete. And I was actually calling for Tete to come back in against United. And then Castagna, I think, dropped one of his best games. And I think he's been a strong performer all season. So I'd leave it as is. And the bench is getting stronger every week as we get more players back. So if Willian is back, whether he starts or not, we're getting stronger every day.
Absolutely. Just looking at the table, because it's always fun to do that. 32 points from now after 26 games. We are now Everton, of course, have got 4 points back, of course. Doesn't make a difference to us at all, really. We're 12 points above Luton, who still have that game in hand against Bournemouth. Nottingham Forest still need to find out. Apparently, it's not going to be until April we find out what happens with them. That's when we play Forest as well, April 2nd. and Everton still might get a further points deduction. You just never know. I think, like I said a couple of weeks ago, the best sort of achievement we can do now is finish above Chelsea this season, which is very doable with 3 points behind them, despite them having a game in hand. Wolves have done incredibly well, haven't they? Is there any possibility we can start looking up and dreaming of Europe? I mean, there are certain circumstances that would lead down to 8th as a European place this season in the Premier League. I mean, we're about 7 points off 8th, but we've still got to play West Ham away. We've still got to play Brighton. We've still got to play Wolves away and Newcastle at home. There are chances we can pick points off these teams, and our confidence must be sky high right now. It's a bit optimistic, but the only way is up.
Yeah, it's optimistic, but there is a slim chance. I think we've got a better chance of getting 8th than we do of being 18th, for example.
Yeah.
The only problem we've got is that there's a mass amount of teams between us that we need to overcome, all of them, to get to 8th.
Yeah.
It just makes me slightly frustrated a few of the games, for example, the 2 against Burnley. If we could have got an additional, 2 points from the away game, 3 at home, an extra 5, and suddenly how close are we to 8th if we got those 5 points? Is that 2 points off?
Yeah, we'd be 2 points off West Ham.
And we've still got to play them away. And we can go there and win. And that makes it frustrating. But at the same time, we've pulled out a few shock results.
Yeah.
These things happen. And, like you said at the start of the episode, Jack, this was a season that was meant to be a bit touch and go, a bit nervy. We've lost our best striker. It was a summer of uncertainty. For us to be even considering a 1% chance of Europe at this stage of the season is hilarious. So massive credit again. We cannot express it enough to Marco Silva for what he's doing with this squad.
Just to address a comment we got on the channel last week on the video, saying that it's a bad mentality to say we're on the beach. Just because I'm saying that we're on the beach and Joe's saying that we're on the beach does not mean that Marco Silva is reiterating that point to the players. We're going to push for every single point we can get.
We're not mathematically safe yet. Obviously, neither myself or Jack think that if we lost every game between now and the end of the season, we'd be safe. What we're saying is that won't happen because we're very good at this moment in time. Your friend Gary Neville, Jack.
Well, hey.
At the Villa game, even then we had strong spells, and we've been in a good run of form, performance-wise and results-wise now, and we think we can carry that on.
Just last question before I ask for your score prediction. In the summer, we're going to have Vinicius back from loan. We'll have Jimenez and we'll have Muniz, who is on great form right now. What happens with our striker position in the summer? Do we address it again? Or do we go, you know what, Muniz could be the man to take us forward?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in charge, I'm selling Vinicius.
Okay, so we got 2.
And I'm signing a new number 9, as in a guy that is intended to start up top. Whether that's Brozier or not, we don't know based on what he does between now and the end of the season. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Muniz.
Yeah.
But regardless, we need competition there. And we shouldn't be signing someone to be a reserve to Muniz. You should be trying to improve the starting 11. And Muniz is young enough that he can still improve massively, as we've seen in this past month. He's been electric. It was another fantastic performance from him at Old Trafford. That move where he shrugged off Lindelof and hit the post it would have been a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
And it was a great performance from him. And this is not me saying, I'm not sold on him. It's me saying this has been a great run of form. I still think we need to improve our striking options. But I don't put it this way. In January, I was saying, let's get rid of Muniz. Yeah. Now I want him as minimum our backup next season as it stands.
That's great. And Jay Stansfield, of course.
I mean, there you go. There's another situation.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting. And we're not going to have Stansfield, Muniz, Jimenez, and another. That questions if another one will go, potentially on loan or permanently. You don't know how bad the Jimenez injury is. We don't know how long he's out for. Obviously, he hit a bit of a good run of form around the December mark, but since then, it's not quite worked out for him. Really interesting summer ahead, Jack. But one thing's for sure, I hope that we're all now in agreement that we will be in the Premier League next season.
Ooh, a 3rd season running. Can we surpass the 13 and make it 14 years running? We'll find out when whatever year it is, 2050 or something like that. That can't be right. That's poor maths. Joe, score prediction, Brighton at home.
I've got to back us after what I saw the other day. I think it's going to be a really hard game because Brighton are a very good team. I'm going to go for another 2-1 Fulham win. And I think that would be a fantastic result.
Yes, I think a result like that would be brilliant. If we beat Brighton, we'd go within 4 points of them.
Yeah, very good.
Would be cool. De Zerbi got booked last week. Oh, he'll still be on the touchline. Of course, they play tomorrow night against Wolves as well in the FA Cup, so they'll have less rest than we do. I'll keep an eye on that one, definitely. Score prediction. Always hard to back up what happened last week. However, Fulham 2-1 as well. I agree with you. I think we'll win. I think we'll win again.
And where will we be on match of the day, Jack? Just to check, because you got it right last time.
Actually, there's quite a lot of games on Saturday.
There's loads, yeah.
Probably like fifth.
Fulham winning, not that big a deal, I suppose, now after Saturday's result.
Sort of want Chelsea to get something out of Brentford because Brentford are really.
Brentford could go.
They could go.
I have to be completely honest right now. I'm quite confident we can catch Chelsea.
Okay.
But I feel like this is a game where Brentford could pick up points.
They could. It would be quite funny either way.
I would be quite fine with it being a draw in normal circumstances. This is one of the few occasions where if Chelsea won, I wouldn't mind. Purely on the basis that is one of Brentford's main chances to pick up points gone.
If Brentford don't win and Luton beat Villa, oh boy, I'll be doing one of the longest boys in history. Right, we've gone on for way too long, but it's like we beat United. We could sit here for about 2 hours. I don't think anyone would complain, apart from maybe Mum because it's dinner time. Right, so take care, everyone. Joe, thank you so much for being here.
Cheers, Jack. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you're at Old Trafford, let us know. Love to know how you found it. And if not, see you at the Brighton game.
Yeah, a lack of vlog action from Old Trafford. Plenty of people sitting in their home watching it on a stream and reacting to it with graphics, which doesn't really get my heart racing as such. But look, Fulham play Brighton on Saturday at the Craven Cottage. It should be a good fun. And look, we're having a great time as Fulham fans these days. And the only way is up through Money Muniz. Thank you very much for watching and come on, Fulham.